Welcome all you Vermoto gamers to this brand new VMG featured segment called Behind the Controller. Basically what this is myself, Kellen Brower, will invite a few people every week to just sit down, have a little conversation with me, bench race, talk moto, gaming, everything. And had a very special guest on this week, and I hope you guys really enjoy this one. This will be a 3-segment part video, so depending on what segment you're watching, be sure to watch the other segments to catch any action that you missed. It'll be aesthetically boring, as it's just us kind of mobbing around on one track the whole time, but the whole purpose is for you guys to listen to this and enjoy this, and I really hope you guys have a wonderful time listening, and please send us your feedback and let us know what you guys think. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the VMG Behind the Controller. I'm Kellen Brower, manager of Vermoto Gamers, and I'm here with the one, the only Checkerz, or Chris, as we all know him, if you know him personally by chance. What's going on, Chris?
Playing MX Simulator.
Right on. Yeah, Chris and I are going to moto together here on track that Chris made for MX Simulator called Race Tech Field, and just have a little bit of fun, talk some things, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this. So we'll just jump into it, talk to Chris about some MVA stuff. So I guess first question is, I mean, like, you were definitely heavily involved in the track making portion of all of that. What was like probably your favorite part of doing that before you left?
I really enjoyed a lot of it. I mean, when I started at THQ, for those that don't know, most of you guys probably know me from the NBA community. I was just a fan of MX Unleashed and just really enjoyed the game. So working on something that I really enjoyed was awesome. I've always liked making tracks. I mean, since I was a little kid in the sandbox all the way till, I mean, even now. I mean, now that I'm not doing it as a job anymore, I still do it for fun. I like to, ride virtual dirt bikes. I like to design real tracks and all that. So that was definitely fun. And I guess towards the end of my time at THQ, I actually got away from the track making quite a bit and moved more to the design side of the game. And that was really my effort to try to improve the game and make it better, more core moto, and be the game that I think a lot of the community would want, and definitely what I wanted from a game. Unfortunately, I don't think we ever got there. I mean, we tried to work towards it for sure, and you can definitely see some strides towards that with a lot of the things we do, whether it was with the reflex system and just that game in general. I'm pretty proud of that one, really, with everything that went into it. Even though there was definitely some things that weren't awesome about it at the time, I think it was really cool. And then all the way to the Stewart compound deal with Alive, I think was awesome, and unfortunately no one really got to see the direction we were going with Supercross for Alive, but that was actually, it was pretty exciting. So that was kind of my involvement in the NBA side, and towards the end I actually transitioned to handling a lot of our sponsorship side of things and working with the industry companies, working with the riders in the game, and that's what really transitioned to me where I'm at now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you worked, if I'm not mistaken, for both Reflex and Alive, and I'm sure there was numerous projects that you're really excited about doing, but I'd guess that James Stewart Compound was probably your most favorite project, but can you name any other ones that really stood out as ones that you enjoyed working with, or that you had a lot of fun building?
Actually, I started partway through Untamed, so I was actually a part of that game as well. In the later stages, I didn't really get to design a lot for the game because it was later on, but then obviously the Stewart Compound, you're right, it's definitely the coolest thing I did while I was there, without a doubt. I think it was a really big step for the franchise as a whole as well, and just a cool opportunity and neat. It was really fun to work with Red Bull on that project. They were awesome to work with. James was actually really awesome to work with as well. And beyond that, really just making tracks for Reflex was really fun. I still think to this day that the tracks in Reflex were the best ones that ever were made in the franchise. I think just as a whole, not even just the stuff that I built, but just as our whole team, we had a lot of really talented people and a really good direction, and I think they turned out awesome. It was some of my favorite stuff for sure.
So now, obviously, I don't think a lot of people know what happened with all you guys after, THQ went kaplunk, and then you guys obviously were left jobless. But I mean, do you still keep in touch with some of the guys that most people from the Alive and Reflex community knew most? Obviously, most people probably knew just Triton, Moto X, and yourself. But I mean, who else do you keep in touch with, and do you know what those guys are doing now?
Absolutely, I still talk to a lot of people. A lot of people probably might know is I actually left, officially left about a week or a week and a half before the studio actually closed. And when I left, we had no idea what was coming. It was 100% a surprise. And I left on my doing of just needed to pursue some other opportunities. So luckily for me, I was able to leave with a lot of really good friendships out of the deal. I do still talk to a lot of people. A lot of you guys know Triton or Elliot. Still talk to him quite a bit. He's actually working for Microsoft right now. They just released Forza Horizon, which he was a part of. I don't know exactly what he did on the project because I haven't talked to him that much, but I know he's still riding and he's up in Washington now, which is kind of where he grew up. So I know he's pretty stoked to be back up in that area. Also, the old community manager, Redneck Express, is a really good friend of mine. I still see him a decent bit, and he was actually managing, had a really good role at a startup mobile game studio here in the Phoenix Valley, and has since moved on from that. And I don't even know his official title. He's actually out of the games industry doing some investment management type stuff and whatnot. And then Moto X, who was our last community manager, Dan, wasn't actually affected by the layoffs, but he did leave THQ shortly after. Still talk to him quite a bit, and he's still a super big moto fan, still riding all the time. And he's been doing some stuff in the games industry, some stuff in the music business, and I believe he's actually between jobs right now. But he's still heavily involved, and I mean, he's looking for an opportunity to get back into the motorcycle industry. It's a pretty cool story with him. Is he was really, really into moto as a kid and kind of got out of it, and then with the opportunity with THQ, fell back in love with the sport, and now that's where he really wants to be. So pretty cool for that, and still talk to him. And then actually the very first community manager ever, back in, I think it was the Reflex days, RBW Too Fast. Travis is another one of my close friends. I actually just went to hang out with him a bit at the Monster Cup, and he's working at 2XL Games, and they're developing the Ricky Carmichael off-road game and a couple other games, mostly mobile stuff on their side. The Carmichael game, Motocross Matchup, is actually available on PC as well. So it's actually really close to Unleashed for those of you that haven't played it, and I believe it's free download on the PC. And that's a great group of guys. I mean, most of the guys at that studio at one point were at Rainbow. A lot of the original guys that made MX Unleashed actually founded that studio, and they're doing well. So, and they're still making some moto stuff, and they do a lot of non-moto projects as well, but it's more on the mobile side of things.
Right on. And I mean, I don't know how many people know this about you, but you took up a job at Race Tech. Like you were talking about, you said you left a week before from the THQ offices. So, I mean, talk us through what you do there now and kind of what you've been doing since you left THQ.
Absolutely. It actually goes back to before I started at THQ. I was, and I use it loosely, a pro racer. I use that term loosely because, I mean, it never was like I was at the level to where I was going to make a living with it or anything like that. But I mean, I had aspiring dreams, and I, raced arena cross a little bit, raced a national, and through that time, I had always, tried to build a good relationship with my sponsors. And right towards the end of my racing career, I met Rob Brown, who's now my boss. He was the owner of 4PR Performance, and he did my suspension actually at the tail end of my career after I really quit racing and more was just doing some local stuff, some local money races and local series stuff, and just blew me away with the product. And I didn't know him at all before he did my stuff at all. I mean, I just met him, and I had some buddies that had stuff done by him that was phenomenal. And he had since left his company and moved to California to head up Race Tech on the development side. And I was talking to him one day on the way home from work. I was a little bit frustrated with some stuff going on, and I've always had a love for the sport more than video games even. And I told him if he had heard any industry jobs open to let me know. And turns out that he was looking for a marketing guy, and I'd kind of moved myself into a marketing role, or at least started to learn the ropes of it at THQ. And he just got an interview set up, and himself and the owner Paul T decided to give me an opportunity at Racetech. And now I'm handling I'm the director of marketing for Racetech. I have handle everything, whether it's moto stuff, ATV, UTV, sport bikes, Harleys, touring, Goldwings, handle all of it. Keeps me busy, but it's awesome. I mean, I'm still in the industry. I get to go to a lot of events still, get to work hand in hand with riders. That's really what I enjoy, and that's where I belong. I mean, I'm extremely happy where I'm at now, and like I said, it keeps me in the industry that I love, which is more important to me than even video games.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously you've stayed true to your video game backgrounds and tried to move Racetech into the whole simulator community, especially with this track as well and all the other tracks you make and the presence. So I mean, just kind of talk us through how exactly getting into sim came about for you and what you enjoy about it, what's different versus working for THQ and all that, versus just coming in and coming back to your roots a little bit and just making tracks for the game and having a good time. What's kind of different, and what do you enjoy, and how's sim for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, for sim, I was as hardcore of an NBA guy as anybody out there. Absolutely loved the games, and when I first played sim, I had seen some videos and I was like, man, this isn't even the same game. This game's garbage, and hated it. And I mean, I've had it installed and played it off and on for at least a year before I finally got good enough at it to make a couple laps around a track and realize the magic that's with the game. And once I got to that point, I started getting more and more into it, and naturally for me, I've always been a track builder and wanted to make tracks. So I started to get into that, and that kind of brings me to where we're at now, where I mean, I'm building tracks for fun again, and it's cool because there's so much less restriction when you're doing it for fun rather than a game. I don't have to make it easy enough for everybody anymore. I can build it to whatever I want to build. It doesn't, I can modify stuff as I want without, oh man, the camera clips this bridge here, I have to change the track, or we have to make it look like this because we need to sell copies, or whatever. It's whatever I want to do. It's super creative. If I want to be a little bit lazy even and not put the detail into something, I can. It doesn't matter. It's not a job anymore. It's just a lot of fun. So that's definitely been a transition. And as far as Racetech being involved, it just makes sense to me. Like I said, it's my job is to market it, get the name out there, and one of the ways I look at it is if you're willing to run Racetech on your virtual bike, there's a chance you'll run it on your real bike. It's great brand exposure, great, I mean, the kids that are playing MX Sim especially, they're all riding or want to ride. So it makes sense to be involved, and I mean, plus it's fun, and that's, at the end of the day, we're all in this industry because it's fun. Riding motorcycles is fun, and as a company, that's why we're at Racetech working in the industry. It's not to get rich. You don't work in the motorcycle industry to get rich. You do it because you love it, enjoy it, and want to have fun. So I think it's cool. It's fun to support, and I mean, I've become pretty involved just because there's a lot of great people in the community. I learn a lot still every day. I learn just as much working in the MX Sim community as just as a part of the community as I did at work at THQ. There's a lot of talent out there that's, doing it just for a hobby, just to learn, just to have fun.
Yeah, definitely. And, you were talking earlier about how it, once you actually were able to get around the track, you find the magic in this game, and you find the magic to just wail on me this whole moto, because every time I catch you, I crash. And just
home track advantage.
Yeah.
It's the Racetech suspension setup, maybe, I don't know. But definitely, it's one of the projects that we worked on this year is something I would have loved to do at THQ, and that's building all the AMA Nationals. I didn't build them all myself, but I was a part of, I think, 6 or 7 of them. And that's something there. It's like you got to cut through so much red tape just to be able to do something like that in a corporate game, whereas with user-created content, it's no big deal. If I feel like at 10 o'clock at night I want to put a new track together, it's not, well, we got to see if we have budget to pay somebody to make it look good or whatever, or to, it's got to run in the game. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So it's definitely fun. You can be a lot more spontaneous, a lot more creative. This track we're playing now was just something that I was talking to a buddy and he was talking about baseball, and I was like, man, I remember a track for MCM2 called Field of Dreams that was on an old, it was based off the set of the movie, which is an outdoor baseball field, and I was like, man, I need to do something like that for Sim. And so a couple days later, I whipped this up, had a buddy help me with the models on it, and to sell the environment, and then voila, there's a track. It's awesome.
Yeah, your tracks are always sick, and I don't think people that aren't really into this game can really appreciate the kind of work that you put into it. But definitely, you're talking about that national project that you guys were working on this year, you and a couple other guys. And those tracks just turned out so sick, and we had an awesome series, for the MX Simulator guys. And I think all of it just turns out well, and the quality in this game has been raised to a whole new level. I think in the past couple months, even with some of the new snapshots and things that JLV comes out with, and I think creators like you and obviously guys like Hagvis and DJ and all that stuff in the community really contribute to that stuff. And have you found working with some of those guys that there's a really those guys are just really something else, or is it pretty similar to the way you guys worked at THQ and you just had so many good resources, or is it different, similar? Do you see any similarities to it?
The talent's definitely there on the community side that we had. The difference really on the studio side is there's a couple big ones. One, we had multiple guys that were, and everyone there was extremely talented. There was no slouch. If you got hired, it was because you were really good at what you did. So they all pushed each other, learned from each other, which was, obviously that was a little bit of a benefit for being in a studio situation versus, obviously user created content. But the other side of it is we also were fighting time constraints all the time with everything we did. When I build a track, it was, you have 2 weeks to build this. Whereas in Sim, if it's not ready to go in 2 weeks, no big deal. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. We just push it off, and it's not a problem because it doesn't have to be out. We're not trying to meet deadlines and stuff. So that part's really nice. It's just relaxed. But the nice thing about the community is the talent's there, and everybody's learning from everybody. And there's a lot of guys that are new to it that are learning. I try to teach guys as much as I can because I was a terrible track creator at one point. And I learned from a lot of people, and now I'm trying to pass that along because at the end of the day, it's making more good tracks for everyone to play.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to these again. None of this would be possible without the help of RaceFactoryGaming.com, so be sure to go check them out, and as well as all of the sponsors of RaceFactoryGaming.com. We'll be back with more of these, so keep up on it. And again, thank you so much for listening.
For daily motocross pro and am coverage, be sure to log on to verbmoto.com, and if you like us, prove it.